A competitive hour coming up for BBC Two now with Ready Steady Cook in 30 minutes, following questions from the media history book.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday the 13th of February. Today's the day in 1971 US Vice President Spiro Agnew took part in the Bob Hope Desert Classic Golf Tournament. His drive from the first tee hit a spectator, then his second shot hit two more. I suppose by the time he reached the 18th green he'd polished off the entire gallery. Well now, just for you at home, here's our usual preview of today's classic clips.
The baby will be just over 2 years younger than Prince William.
Today, stocking suspension is a hindrance most women would be gladly rid of, a problem made public by the miniskirt.
It's the first such course aimed specially at married women, and it's reckoned to knock pounds of flab off in just a few weeks.
Some splendid clips there to test the memories of two new teams. Come and meet them. First of all, we welcome Christine Tolman, a police civilian inquiry officer, and her sister Meryl Payne. Both are from Alcester in Warwickshire. And taking them on, we have Catherine Donovan, a housekeeper from Enford near Pewsey in Wiltshire, and her father George Pace, a retired maths teacher from Leighton Buzzard, completing our lineup of contestants for Today's the Day. And whoever wins the first part of today's show will face the reigning champions, Simon and Tess Brookman, in the second part of the programme. All of them playing for the grand prize on offer at the end of the series, 2 round-the-world air tickets. And we take off as usual with Stop the Clip. So, fingers on buzzers, please. Buzz when you think you can answer the question about the clip. The sooner you buzz, of course, the more points you get. We're starting with a report from today in 1983. What is this story? Start the clip.
The appalling weather couldn't deter young hopefuls from as far away as Dundee, who brought a touch of 20s Chicago.
Christine and Meryl?
An audition for Oliver.
No, restart the clip.
To cold Kensington.
Catherine and George?
An audition for Bugsy Malone?
Yes, it was auditions today in 1983 for the stage version of Bugsy Malone. And next, a report from today in 1968. What is this story about? Start the clip.
This year, they've come up with the biggest ever training program. Special weekend courses, trips abroad, extensive coaching, all costing some £10,000. In communist countries, an athlete who shows great promise is likely to get a lot of help from the state. The British government just pay half the fare for our team and a small allowance while they're at the game.
Christine and Meryl?
Training for the Olympic Games.
Yes, a report from today in 1968 about our Olympic squad in training for the Mexico Games. Now a report from today in 1967. Where are we? Start the clip.
Here are some of the 3,000 new bedrooms being put up on this Mediterranean island. 180 miles from North Africa, 60 miles from Sicily, the only place I've been to.
Catherine and George?
Malta?
Yes, it was a report from today in 1967 about the thriving tourist industry on the island of Malta. Now, some music from the charts today in 1983. Can you name both the group and the song? I need both for a correct answer. Start the clip.
I sit alone now, wondering about you. I'm living my life. What do you do? You say you want me, but need success. I want your love, boy. Want nothing less.
Blank looks all round. I'm going to have to tell you, aren't I? It was the Bell Stars and Sign of the Times, which was in the charts today in 1983. In fact, it reached number 3, because you still don't quite believe me. Let's see a little more.
This is a sign of the times. Piece of more to come. This is a sign of the times. Time to be alone.
Right, end of round 1. Christine and Meryl, 4 points. Catherine and George, 19. On to our TV round, a selection of classic programmes which were on the air on this very day in years gone by. We have 3 clips for Christine and Merrill first. Our usual tough questions to follow.
Now, I want 2 names removed from that credit blacklist. Tim Reynolds and Mary Reynolds.
I can't do that.
You've got no choice. You're a manager working with CDS under a false name with forged references. Your feet wouldn't touch the ground.
Okay, okay.
To commemorate Mr. Watkins, we suggest a rose bush planted in the Garden of Remembrance at a cost of £25 for the first 10 years. However, if you wish to keep him there longer...
Come here. Let's have a look. We'll have one of those. We'll have one of these. We'll have a bit of that. We'll have that one in teak. That one in mahogany. To do that one in Formica, we'll have a couple of those. We'll take all the reeds and a 10-foot display of geraniums saying, that's all, folks.
Christine and Merrill, can you identify those programmes?
The first one we believe was Shoestring.
Right, from 1980. Second?
The second one was Fats Waller, what do you say?
Fats Waller?
No, it was Oscar Peterson's Piano Party from 1976. And the third?
Third one was something with Mel Smith in, but not
Yeah,
sure what.
it was Colin Sandwich from 1990. Your point-scoring questions coming up. Who played Shoestring?
Trevor Eve.
Correct. Shoestring was a detective, but what was his other job?
Newspapers.
No, he was a radio presenter. Oscar Peterson made his professional debut at the Carnegie Hall in which American city?
New York.
Correct. In the 60s, Oscar Peterson recorded an album of music from the folk opera Porgy and Bess. Who was the composer?
George Gershwin.
Correct. Who was the actress in that clip from Colin Sandwich?
Annette Crosby.
Correct. In which earlier drama series did Mel Smith star as a ruthless property dealer?
Yeah, it is. No, sorry.
It was Muck and Brass. And we've 3 clips coming up now to test the memories of Catherine and George.
You're thinking you'll be able to give a description of me. You're not, Mr. Morris.
No, don't kill me. I'll not tell who robbed me. I'll not tell who robbed me.
There's no need for killing. You're an exciseman in Glasgow. I know who you are, Mr. Morris. But you know who I am.
For your love, I fly high. Lord above, tell me why.
Timothy, has the milkman been?
Been? I don't know, Mother. It seemed rather a personal question to ask.
There's hair in your ears. Borrow your father's tweezers. Muriel, make some tea. The devil finds work for idle hands.
What, you mean he's running some sort of youth opportunity scheme?
Catherine and George, can you identify those clips?
I think the first one was Kidnapped.
No, Rob Roy from 1977. Second one?
Don't know the second
The
one.
Sacha Distel.
Yes, Sacha Distel and Guests from 1979. And the third?
Sorry.
Sorry, from 1987. Your point-scoring questions coming up. Who wrote the novel Rob Roy?
Stevenson?
No, Sir Walter Scott. The actor who played Rob Roy in that adaptation is the MP Andrew Folds. He's best known for his role as Captain Jet Morgan in which classic 1950s radio series?
Oh, not Dick Barton, was it?
No, it was Journey into Space. In 1967, Sacha Distel recorded a French-language version of a song which was a #1 hit for Frank Sinatra and his daughter Nancy. What was it?
Oh, Nancy was the...
These boots are made for walking.
No, it was Something Stupid.
Oh.
And more recently, Sacha Distel toured Britain with a show called Golden Songs of the Silver Screen. Which former hostess of TV's The Generation Game starred with him?
Isla St. Clair?
No, Rosemary Ford. Ronnie Corbett was Timothy in Sorry. What was the character's surname?
Oh, goodness, I can't remember.
No, it was Lumsden. And who played Timothy's domineering mother?
Is it Barbara something, isn't it?
It was, but I'd love to give it to you, but I can't because I need the full name. It was Barbara Lott. And you had a rum do in that round, didn't you? That was,
We did rather.
That was pretty grim. Never mind, it'll all perk up in the next round because we've ended round 2 with Catherine and George on 19 points, Christine and Merrill in the lead with 24. Now to round 3, which is Famous Faces. On the video wall we have 4 years, and hiding behind each year a well-known person in a classic clip from the Today's the Day archive. Now, I almost hesitate to ask you, Catherine and George, but I will. You go first.
1984, please.
1984.
The baby will be just over 2 years younger than Prince William. And the Prince and Princess of Wales, it's said, have no known preference for a girl or another boy.
News today in 1984 that the Princess of Wales was expecting her second child. What was her occupation when it was announced that she was to marry the Prince of Wales?
A nursery nurse.
Yes, I'll give you that. She was a kindergarten teacher. Christine and Merrill, your choice?
1986, please.
1986.
We are the dominant producer in terms of numbers, but we sell very much into the games end with this sort of machine, whereas Amstrad is tending to sell into the sort of low end of the office market.
Inventor and entrepreneur Sir Clive Sinclair launching his home computers today in 1986. What form of transport did he launch in 1992?
The Sinclair C5.
No. Offer it to Catherine and George.
Was the battery-operated car?
No, it was in fact a lightweight electric bicycle called a Zyke. The C5, incidentally, was launched in 1985. The key there was in the year 92. Catherine and George, it's your choice of year.
68.
1968. Vanessa Redgrave receiving her CBE today in 1968. Known particularly for his performance in Shakespeare and Chekhov plays, who was her famous father?
Michael Redgrave.
So Michael Redgrave is right. And you, Christine and Merrill, are left with 1964.
I looked in the paper and saw Brit's picture that she had just arrived in England. And I thought what I saw was very good. And I thought that I would like to meet what I saw.
Peter Sellers and Britt Ekland announced their engagement today in 1964. Sellers starred opposite Alec Guinness and Herbert Lom in which 50s Ealing comedy?
Kind Hearts and Coronets.
No. Offer it to Catherine and George.
No, it's gone, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it was The Lady Killers. And at the end of round 3, we find Christine and Merrill on 24, but Catherine and George taking the lead with 29. Right, fingers back on buzzers, please, for the round which will decide who goes on to this afternoon's final and who goes home. 5 points for every question. It's time for our quick-fire playoff. Born today in 1938, who played Bill Sykes in the film musical Oliver? Catherine and George?
Oh, sorry.
Robert Newton?
No. Offer it to Christine and Merrill.
Sorry, I don't know.
No, it was Oliver Reed. Which film, based on a D.H. Lawrence novel, starred Oliver Reed and Alan Bates? Christine and Merrill?
Women in Love.
Correct. Today in 1917, which Dutch spy was arrested by the French? Christine and Merrill?
Mata Hari.
Is right. Who played the title role in the 1932 film Mata Hari? Catherine and George?
Theda Bara?
No. Offer it to Christine and Merrill.
Greta Garbo.
Correct. Name the composer of the Ring of the Nibelung who died today in Catherine and George?
Wagner.
Yes, Richard Wagner. He died today in 1883. Which Wagner opera is based on the legend of a ship's captain condemned to sail forever? Catherine and George?
The Flying Dutchman.
Is correct. Today in 1689, who became King of England? Catherine and George?
William III.
Correct. With whom did William III... Christine and Merrill?
Mary.
Well interrupted. With whom did William III jointly reign was the question. It was Mary II. And just look at that. It is Catherine and George on 44, Christine and Merrill on 44 at the end of our quickfire playoff. But obviously not quite the end of the quickfire playoff because we have a tie break. So it means it's fingers back on buzzers, please, for one further question to decide who goes on to this afternoon's final and who goes home. Here goes. Today in 1974, which Russian novelist and... Christine and Merrill?
Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Well interrupted. I was going to ask you which Russian novelist and historian was exiled from the Soviet Union today in 1974. It was Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and that clinches it. So that means that Christine and Merrill have made it through to this afternoon's final in just a few moments. But alas, we have to say goodbye to Catherine and George. However, you don't leave empty-handed. I have here a unique consolation prize, 2 newspapers that were printed and published on the very days that you were born. And Catherine, On your birthday, Cambridge University were meeting Oxford in a nail-biting official match of tiddlywinks. True story. And George, on your birthday, the President of the French Republic, Monsieur Paul Deschanel, had a rude awakening while travelling on a train from Paris to Montbrison. He fell through the window of his sleeping compartment. Fortunately, he suffered only minor injuries and was able to walk to a watchman's cabin where assistance was at hand. Foul minds would have suspected a political plot, perhaps, but it was, of course, just an accident. And now it's your turn at home to have a chance to win 2 round-the-world air tickets.
We've got to retain a certain amount of mystery about this. I can't make those details known today.
A newspaper tycoon talking about the launch of a new paper today in 1986. Who is he? A. Tiny Rowland, B. Rupert Murdoch, or C. Robert Maxwell? If you know the answer, ring 0891 339900. One winner, selected at random from the right answers, can choose an electronic personal organiser or a colour television. 5 runners-up win a copy of the Today's the Day book. They all get a chance to compete for our grand prize, a pair of round-the-world air tickets. That's 0891 339900, and the lines stay open until midnight. And the answer to yesterday's question, Mrs. Tiggywinkle was created by Beatrix Potter.
And we'll give you that question and the phone number once again, as usual, right at the end of the programme. Well, it's time now to welcome back our reigning champions from yesterday. They are Tess and Simon Brookman. And before we move on to the video wall, let's find out a little more about today's challenges. Christine, a special constable for how long?
Almost 27 years.
And have you had any interesting encounters on the beat?
Not on the beat, no, but I've been with a lot of royalty over the years, guarding them and so forth.
Yeah, can you let us into any secrets of how you do that?
Not really. I've been with the Queen Mother. I've seen inside the Royal Helicopter on an occasion when she opened a lock at Stratford-upon-Avon, and I've been with her more than any other royal.
Meryl, you seem to keep yourself extremely busy. Doing what?
Well, various things. I've been in the WRVS for about 20 years now.
And you are a founder member of the Ulster Operatic Society.
Yes.
Go on, give us a burst.
All I want is a room somewhere far away from the cold night air, in some enormous chair. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely?
Your wish is granted. I was going to say follow that, but the only thing we could possibly follow that with is our video wall. There are 8 clips here, some more difficult to answer questions about than others, so you do have a choice. And as you can see, the clips are worth 5, 10 or 15 points. And there's a great deal riding on the choice that you make, so you must choose extremely carefully. Christine and Meryl as challengers, you kick off.
Can we have bottom left, please?
Bottom left for 15 points.
Within hours of her election yesterday afternoon, the chairman of the club, Lord Tweedsmuir, offered Mrs. Thatcher an honorary membership of the Carlton Club. And that simple act of courtesy has thrown officials here into a state of complete confusion. Will she be confined to the ladies-only area, or, like all previous leaders of the Conservative Party, will she be allowed to come and go as she pleases?
The all-male institution of the Carlton Club being threatened by the new party leader today in 1975. For 15 points, by what name is the entire body of backbenchers in the Conservative Party known?
22 Club?
No. Offer to Tess and Simon.
1922 Committee.
Yes, the 1922 Committee is the word I was looking for. Tess and Simon, your choice.
Bottom right, please.
Bottom right for 15 points.
You've got to get make a card that's got a spade on it. A heart on it. And you send it to, but you mustn't put who it's from, else they've got to have a little guess. Yeah.
Have you got a girlfriend? Who's your girlfriend?
Preparations for Valentine's Day today in 1970. For 15 points, Valentine and Proteus are the 2 principal characters in which Shakespeare comedy?
A Midsummer Night's Dream.
No. Offer it to Christine and Meryl.
Comedy of Errors?
No, The Two Gentlemen of Verona. And it's your choice on the wall.
Middle right, please.
Middle right for 10 points.
Today's stocking suspension is a hindrance most women would be gladly rid of, a problem made public by the miniskirt. The story begins with the development of a new stretchable fibre from which you can make stockings so versatile that each one could fit a wide range of feet.
A revolution for stocking wearers today in 1967. For 10 points, what name is given to the unit of weight by which yarns are measured?
Denier.
Is right. Tess and Simon, your choice.
Top centre, please.
Middle top for 10 points.
After more than 400 years, inflation has at last caught up with the humble sixpence. It's simply been priced out of existence. Few slot machines now even accept it anymore.
The end of the sixpence today in 1980. For 10 points, the film Half a Sixpence was based on which novel by H.G. Wells?
It was Kipps.
It
Mr.
was
Kipps,
indeed.
yes.
Christine and Merrill, your choice.
Bottom middle, please.
Bottom middle for 10 points.
Behind these walls, 6 local housewives master the exotic art of belly dancing. It's the first such course aimed specially at married women, and it's reckoned to knock pounds of flab off in just a few weeks. When they graduate from their school of belly dancing, the ladies hope to entertain at parties and weddings, and for their husbands, the course is bound to bring a touch of Eastern promise to the wilds of Hertfordshire.
Middle Eastern belly dancing comes to suburban Britain today in 1979. For 10 points, in which continent did the dance start?
The Middle East.
European.
Continent?
Asia.
No, offer it to Tess and Simon.
Africa.
Africa is right, and it's your choice on the wall.
Middle left, please.
Middle left for 10 points.
Here in Maine, there's more ice than they know what to do with in the winter and not enough in the summer. At this time, every year, giant ice cubes are cut by the thousand, taken ashore and stored in sawdust. By the summer, they'll have got a bit smaller, but there'll still be enough to keep the ice cream industry going until next winter.
Water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink today in 1962. For 10 points, what is 0 degrees centigrade on the Fahrenheit scale?
Minus 32.
No, offer it to Christine and Merrill.
32.
32 degrees is right, plus 32. And it is your choice.
Oh, top right, please.
Top right for 5 points.
When Texaco swallows up Getty Oil this month, this museum will become by far the richest in the world. A faithful replica of a Roman villa, the Getty Museum's already enormous endowment will be tripled. And there'll be over £1 million a week to spend on new acquisitions or whatever the museum wants.
The Getty Museum making the headlines today in 1984. For 5 points, in which American state is the Getty Museum?
New Jersey.
No, offer it to Tess and Simon.
Washington.
No, it's California. It's near Malibu. And Tess and Simon, you were left with top left for 5 points.
This eagle's future was already in question. Now, of all things, an election makes it even more uncertain. On a mountain contested by government troops and communist guerrillas, an eagle sanctuary has been set up by American naturalist Ron Krupa.
I think the awareness is just getting stronger and stronger about what this bird represents, not just to me, who just loves eagles because it's in me, but something that is their heritage.
An eagle sanctuary in the news today in 1986. For 5 points, which part of the golden eagle is golden?
His crown, here.
No, offer it to Christine and Merrill.
Ruffles at the back of its neck.
Yes, precisely that. It's the nape of the neck or the hackles that are golden in colour. So at the end of that round, we find Christine and Merrill on 25 points and Tess and Simon on 35. Which brings us to our final round, and it's time to beat the clock. 60 seconds of questions about the 13th of February, but of course only one team member can play, and reigning champions have to take it in turn. So Tess, that means you. Let's go. 60 seconds starting now. Today in 1542, Catherine Howard was beheaded. To which monarch was she married?
Henry VIII.
Correct. Today in 1973, Lord Carrington was on a trip to Japan. What was his cabinet position at the time?
Foreign Secretary.
No, Defence Secretary. Which BBC athletics commentator and coach died today in 1991?
I don't know.
Ron Pickering. Today in 1990, which civil rights leader returned home after his release from prison?
Nelson Mandela.
Correct. Born today in 1918, Patty Berg is most associated with which sport?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
Golf. Today in 1920, Switzerland was admitted to the League of Nations. What is the country's capital?
Geneva.
No. Bern. Today in 1990, the drama Peer Gynt was on the London stage. Who wrote it?
Don't know.
Ibsen. The series Poldark was on TV today in 1977. In which county was it set?
Cornwall.
Correct. Eleanor Farjeon was born today in 1881. With which branch of the arts is she most associated?
Literature.
Correct. In cinemas today in 1990, who was starring as Henry V?
1990. Anthony Sher.
No, it was Kenneth Branagh. Now, Christine, your target to beat is 75. So let's go. 60 seconds starting now. Name the suffragette leader who died today in 1958.
Christabel Pankhurst.
Correct. Today in 1975, Harold Wilson arrived in Moscow. The following year, who succeeded him as Prime Minister?
Jim Callaghan.
Correct. Today in 1990, James Buster Douglas was officially named as the new world heavyweight boxing champion after defeating which boxer?
Don't know.
Mike Tyson. Georges Rouault died today in 1958. With which branch of the arts is he most associated?
Sculpture.
No. Painting. Today in 1990, an adaptation of Smiley's People was on radio. Who wrote the novel?
Le Carrier.
No. Le Carré. Today in 1668, which country's independence was recognized by Spain?
Don't know.
Portugal. Today in 1985, an adaptation of The Mill on the Floss was on the London stage. Who wrote the original novel?
George Eliot.
Correct. Today in 1984, who was elected Secretary General of the Soviet Communist Party?
Don't know.
Chernenko. Today in 1967, who was at the top of the pop charts with This Is My Song?
Don't know.
Petula Clark. In cinemas today in 1990, who was... I'll finish the question. In cinemas today in 1990, who was starring as Batman?
Kilmer.
No, Michael Keaton.
Oh.
Right, so we end our contest with Christine and Merrill on 55 points. Tess and Simon are clear victors with 75. And that means that Tess and Simon stay our reigning champions. We'll see you again tomorrow, but we have to say goodbye to Christine and Merrill, and you leave with our special consolation prize, copies of the Today's the Day book and newspapers printed and published on the days that you were born. And if you'd like to try your luck as a contestant here in the studio, you'd be most welcome, because we're now looking for contestants for future programs. So if you're interested and can team up with a relative or friend from a different generation, phone us on the Today's the Day contestant line, which is 0990 100 700. That's 0990 100 700. Finally, I wonder if you remember this clip that we showed last December. It is bus conductress Cynthia Churchill from Cranley in Sussex winning the Queen of the Clippies contest in 1945. Well, Cynthia's dropped me a line to say the excerpt we showed brought all the memories flooding back. Apparently the union rep who entered her for the competition was so certain she'd win, he bet his entire wage packet on her. And as well as appearing in cinemas all over the country, Cynthia was on the front cover of Woman's Own. Well, delighted you enjoyed the clip, Cynthia. It really is great to receive letters from viewers who see themselves in these clips. We're back with more fascinating facts and classic clips tomorrow at 4, of course, but bye for now.
And a reminder of the Today's the Day phone question. A newspaper tycoon was talking about the launch of a new paper today in 1986. Who was he? A. Tiny Rowland, B. Rupert Murdoch, or C. Robert Maxwell? Call 0891 33 9900. The lines stay open until midnight.